Hi, this is Happy Bird from happybirdscraftinghaven.com, and I'm here today to show you this beautiful little, very lightweight Christmas ornament that I made. And this was so simple. I made it with Dollar Tree ribbon for the tail and for the wings, and then I bought the styrofoam ball package at the Dollar Tree. I used a baby sock, some trim here, and I glued narrow ribbon with a piece of the trim in the back. It held very well. And then a little snowflake for the hat with a flat back rhinestone, a little stiff felt beak. And for the eyes, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I ended up using the pins with a pearl at the end. The only problem was the pens that I had on hand did not have black in here. So what I used was my black Sharpie marker, and I colored the tops of the pearls, and it worked out beautifully. So I'll show you how I did this, and as I go along I'll explain about the different things that I used to put this bird together. Now, the first thing I did, set this back a little bit, is I purchased a bag of the styrofoam balls at Dollar Tree. And in this bag they give you large, medium, and small balls. I used the medium and small ball for the bird. So you can get 3 of this size bird out of this one package. Okay? Which is pretty good considering it's coming from the Dollar Tree. And then I used a toothpick, and what I did was I took the medium ball and held it to the ground and put the toothpick in at an angle, like so. And I sat it on the ground because then I could feel when it was touching the bottom. Then I slipped the little styrofoam head on, like so. Yeah. Okay, see? So there's a little piece left. So I just took my little nipper tool and cut that off. Okay? And you can use wire cutters if you don't have a nipper tool. And I used a size 0 to 6 months baby sock, a white one. However, you really don't need it that big. 0 to 3 months would probably work much better. I didn't realize at the time I purchased this that it had the little rubber things on the bottom, you know, so, you know, babies when they're walking won't skid. And I just put it at the bottom here so it wouldn't show, and it's really not noticeable. But if you can find a white baby socks without any print on the bottom, then that would be best. I would look at Dollar Tree first. And so for this one, what I did was, since it was so long, is I cut the top off to about here. And I know that's a lot of sock to cut off, but don't throw this away, ladies, because you can always gather this at the top, tie it with a piece of yarn, and you have a nice little Santa cap to put on bulbs at Christmas time and turn into little Santas. Okay? So what I did with this little sock is I put the little bird in head first, but I rolled it up first. I want to make sure that the line on the toe is at the top of the head. Stretch it out. As far as it can go. Like so. Now, I know it looks kind of funny now, but we're going to tie it off. Okay? The best thing to use to tie this off is actually clear plastic rubber bands. I'm sure you've seen them in the, the hair barrette section, where the barrettes are and the headbands. Little tiny clear rubber bands. That would be the best to tie this off with. But I didn't have that available, so I just looked in my stash and I found some very strong upholstery thread. And I'm going to cut a little bit of that off. I'm going to make a loop. And I'm going to slide it over the bird's head. And I'm going to tie it very tight, like so. I'm sure you can see now why it probably would be easier to use the rubber bands. Okay, so I'm going to tie it off, and then I'm going to turn it upside down, tie it off again at the bottom in the throat area. So we really want this to be tight. Okay, so now I'm going to snip these threads off, and let me move my camera down a little bit more. So now we have the head tied off, so I'm going to tie off the tail. Okay, and don't worry about the excess because we'll cut that off. Okay. Alright, and then I'm going to trim this off right here. Okay, so whatever's left on the bird, you're going to cut this off, but you're going to leave a little bit at the end, and I'll show you why. Okay, you want to leave just enough at the end. It looks like almost like a little bunny tail. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to have something, if you look underneath here, to hot glue the ribbon onto. Okay? So that's why we're going to leave it like that. Now what I did was I took some Turbo Techie Glue by Aline, and I put this here at the end because I just wanted it to be stiff and to where it wouldn't fray too. So, and of course, you let that dry. It doesn't take long. And let's see, hold on for a moment, please. Okay. Alright, then you're going to take your Dollar Tree ribbon, and by the way, the Dollar Tree ribbon that I bought has 9 feet on each roll, which is pretty good. And it's imprinted with, or embossed with, this pretty design here. I didn't see any in green. I've only seen them in the white and the red. Okay, and I cut 4 strips, 2 red, and 2 white. I think I dropped a white piece. Huh. It's okay. I'll just cut another one quickly. Okay. These things happen when you're filming. The only difference is a lot of the others edit them out and I don't. Okay. So you're going to cut 2 red and 2 white at 5.5 inches. Then you're going to cut 1 red and 1 white in 4.5 inches. So it's a total of 6. Okay? Now what I did was I made the little fishtail cuts at the end ahead of time. And you know what? I just noticed I missed this one. So I'm going to cut that for you right now. I'm going to fold it like this. And I'm going to cut, let's see, gotta think. Yeah, I gotta cut upwards, not on the folded part. Like that. Okay? So, glad I saw that. And so you have all these pretty fishtail cuts. Okay? So I'm going to do the same thing on these ahead of time. And I'm going to fold this like that. And you're going to cut upwards, not on the folded part. You're going to go in on the side that's open. And corner to corner, you're going to make that little cut. Okay? And I'm going to do that with all of these pieces here. Okay? It just makes it look really nice. Okay. And last one. Corner to corner. There we go. Okay. Clean up my mess. Okay. So I'm going to take this little bird and I'm going to start with one of the long red ones here, the 5.5 inch one. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue here on the edge. Oh, need more glue. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here on the side of the bird because you want the sides to be a little covered too, because you don't want to see that tail underneath. All right? And then on this side, yeah, I'm going to use a 5.5 inch white tail. I'm going to put it right here on the edge, okay? And, oops. By the way, this is low temp. Okay. And there's not a whole lot you can do to mess this up. Then I'm going to put a 5.5 inch one right here, right next to the white one. Now you don't have to put it in this order. You can do what you want, but this is just how I did it. That's why I'm showing you. And then I'm going to take the smaller, or excuse me, the 5.5-inch white one and put it here in between the two reds. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to take a couple of the shorter ones and place them where I think that they would look good, okay? And I'll put one here. And like I said, you can basically put them anywhere. It's just that, you know, this is kind of what I did. And then the last one, this is a little short one. Okay. And then you can pull all the little stringies off this if you want. Okay. And I noticed that this ribbon here, sometimes you have little strings that you need to pull off, but seems to be okay. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Sorry, it's my grandson. He's comforting my little dog Lucy because she has to go in the vet tomorrow, and he's afraid that she's going to be frightened. Okay, let's see. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put together, or take this little piece of trim here and add it to the bird. And of course I found very similar trim in the Recollections sticky back bling collection at Michael's, and so I picked it up. I thought it looked very similar, but I'm going to use what I have left of this, and I'm just going to kind of measure from here to here, and I'll cut that. Okay, and I'll start off by just putting a few dots of glue on the first three, and I put it here on the edge, wrap it around, and then, oops, didn't put that over far enough. The good thing about it is you can always pull this glue off and redo it if you need to. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There we go. And then I'll go ahead and glue down the rest of the trim right here. There we go. And just put that down like that. Okay, so we got the tail part. Alright. And you can adjust it if you want. And then around the neck, I do the same thing. Little Temp hot glue. I would start on the bottom of the neck and then go around. To to about here. Cut this off. There we go. All right, and okay, you can sit there and pick off all the little strings afterwards. Okay, now for the wings, what I used there were 2 pieces of 2-inch red ribbon, but I want to put this on in the middle of the back first, okay? Because it would be kind of awkward to hot glue everything in there with the wings already on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this little super narrow ribbon and cut it off where it looks pretty good as to how long you'd want it, the loop to be, to hang on the Christmas tree. And I'm going to put a little tiny dot of low temp hot glue at the end, and that way I can wrap it around and make my loop like so. Okay, now I'm going to let this dry for a couple seconds. Alright, then I'm going to put a little dab of hot glue, probably a little bit past the middle, not the exact middle, but a little bit past. And you're going to put your loop, the part that you glued, face down like so. Make sure it's nice and even. Just like that. And then to cover up all this hot glue ickiness, you're going to take a little piece of your trim and hot glue it right here in the middle. Just like that. Okay? And you're going to let it dry. So in the meantime, while that's drying, you're going to cut about 2 inches of ribbon for each wing. And I'm kind of guesstimating here when I'm cutting this, so let me cut these 2 pieces. And just like that. Alright. And then you're going to fold this in half, put a little dot of glue here, kind of hold it for a second. I'll place that wing down, and then do the same thing for this wing. Hold it together like so. Okay, now once that has dried, you're going to make a little tip by cutting off these 2 corners. You don't have to do that, but that's just something I did. Now I chose to use flat back trim, or excuse me, flat back rhinestones to put on these wings here, but you can use buttons, you can use anything you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to take this, put some hot glue just on the tip, and we're going to kind of make the wings pointing upwards like that. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. One thing I like about these birds is you really don't have to make these perfect. This bird is very forgiving. Any little mistakes you can always cover up with bling, and it's really cute, or just as cute. So now I'm going to put the little bling on the sides. Put my little package here. And of course, I love this. This is my favorite type of bling from Recollections. It has little, like, square facets. So I'm going to use 2 of the large ones. And even though they're sticky back, I'm still going to put hot glue on these. A little dab here. I'm going to put it right there over the point. Right over the point. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Right on the point. Okay? And like I said, you can have fun pulling off all the little glue strings after. Okay, so now we have the eyes. And so I'm going to take a couple of my pins here. I use a lighter one. And I'm going to paint those or color those black with my black Sharpie marker, which I don't see. Isaiah, could you give me my black Sharpie marker, honey? It's in the bottom drawer. Thank you. I only had the fine tip Sharpie markers available, or ultra fine in the bottom drawers. Right there, sweetheart. No, the plastic drawer. Right here, baby. Thank you. Okay, so I just use these. And this is what I did. I just sat here and just colored them black. It stays really well because this is permanent. And just made sure that I really covered it. And of course it would be much easier with just a regular fine tip instead of the ultra fine tip. But that's all I had. I'm not sure why, because I thought I had some regular fine tips in there. And right here at the bottom. Do that. So that looks pretty good. Just want to get it everywhere. And I just turn it with my thumb as I go. See? Looks pretty good. And then I'll let this dry in just a matter of seconds. And do the same thing with this one. Of course, it would go much faster if the tip was thicker. I probably should have done this ahead of time before I started this tutorial. But you know how that goes. Hindsight's always 50-50. I mean 20-20. 50-50. I don't know where that came from. You know, mine probably is 50-50. Okay, there we go. That's good enough. Okay, so now I have to tell you, at first, when I was putting the eyes on, I thought, this just looks weird and I can't figure it out. Well, I put the eyes in the front and it looked more like a frog than it did a bird. So then I realized, okay, Lori, eyes go on the side. So that's what I did. But you don't want them too far back. You want them up a little bit past the middle. A little bit past the middle, but not quite directly in the side, but yet not in the front. Does that make sense? And to tell you the truth, it gave me a better perspective where the eyes should be once I actually put on the beak. That helped a lot. Thinking these eyes are a little on the crooked side, not sure. Okay, so what I did for the beak was I took a piece of stiff red felt and just cut a little tiny square out of it and folded the stiff felt and just kind of pressed it down. Then I snipped a little triangle out of the felt, like that. And I kept pressing really hard on that felt and opened up the little triangle beak, like so. And then put just a tiny amount right here of hot glue. And I put that right here in the middle. And it went on very well. So I think the eyes are placed pretty well. And like I said, you know, once you put that beak on, you can kind of tell exactly where everything should be on the bird. So now we're going to do her little hat. And I'm going to take one of those snowflake buttons, the acrylic ones that I showed you. And I'm going to snip off the shank on the back. Okay. Then I'm going to put, I'm going to make sure that it's cut as far down as I can with the yeah, like that. Okay. And then you're going to put some hot glue on the back. And I'm going to put this right on the head, about like here, okay? Then I'm going to put I did not glue that directly in the back. I'll have to fix that. Okay. Then I'll have to take one of my large bling rhinestones and put that right on top of the head. So, like I said, this project is pretty forgiving. You can cover up a lot of things. So I think I have it fairly even. I think. Yeah. Okay. I pulled his eye out when I was doing this. Sorry, little birdie. There we go. Oh, we want it this direction. We don't want it to poke out on the other side of the head. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. Well, we got the little bird made, and I know it was a long video. I'm really sorry for that. But I hope you enjoyed this and learned some things along the way, like not how to make my mistakes. So, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to watch this very, very long video. God bless you all. Bye-bye.